Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a review of a box that you asked me to do because it's actually still available. It's been out for a long time, and there is a wonderful review of it with sound clip, by the way, for insider subscribers on ClassicsToday.com by our very own Jed Disler. It is the Julius Katchen Complete Decca box. Now, this is going to fall apart as usual. Now, for those of you who don't know who Julius Katchen was, he lived until about, he was 42 when he died in 1969. He was an amazing child prodigy, an extraordinary virtuoso, but not a mindless virtuoso, a thinking person's virtuoso, kind of like an early Marc-André Amelin in a sense, although he wasn't as into unusual repertoire as Amelin was. I mean, he did the standard romantic stuff because in those days that's sort of what you did. But he was an amazing technician. He's best known for his Brahms piano works, which are extraordinary and still reference recordings. It really, without any question, nobody would question that, really. An amazing collection, because not too many people have done the complete Brahms solo piano music, but he did. Some things multiple times. If my tongue doesn't get stuck, my tongue is cleaving. It's cleaving to the roof of my mouth. Anyway, let's talk about what's in here. There are 35 CDs. Some of them are mono era, some of them are stereo, some things he remade, but so much of it is excellent. He could easily qualify as a guy who never made a bad record. He really could. His music making was extraordinary. I love these performances, and I still do. I still listen to them quite frequently. So let's get through it. And it's good. I mean, I saw that this is still around. Hopefully it will stay around for a few more minutes. And those of you who are interested will have an opportunity to buy it. So, let's see. Let's just take these things. Well, these are not original jackets. They all just sort of say Julius Katchen. So, you know, Decca. All right, let's do it from the booklet. I think that'll probably be easier if we look at the track listing of the book. Also, by the way, marvelous booklet notes by none other than Cyrus Mayer-Holmgee, the leading light behind Decca's Australian Eloquence, or Universal's Australian Eloquence series and boxes and all that great stuff we've been getting. And they originally had another Katchen box, which had a fabulous catalog number. It was like Catch 22 or something like that. It was very clever. But let's see. Let's see what we have. Okay, so these are roughly by period, musical period. So we've got classical stuff. Mozart, piano concertos 20, 25, and 11 with the Stuttgart Chamber Orchestra and Karl Munchinger. These are from 1957 and 1967. Now, Katchen was not a natural Mozartian. The performances are quite good. They are, actually. But, he really came into his own in the later romantic repertoire. There's so much competition in Mozart by people who specialize in Mozart, but still, there are insights. I mean, I can't name one offhand, like, Bar 67 of Piano Concerto number 25. I mean, well, you know what I mean. They're interesting to listen to. Then we've got Mozart Concertos 13, 20, and 13 and 16. You get them more than once with Peter Maag and the New Symphony Orchestra. And Peter Maag, of course, is interesting in his own right. As a cult conductor, and the Fantasia in D minor, by the way, which is quite good. So there we go. And then we've got Beethoven. Now, his Beethoven is really pretty interesting. He does some beautiful things. So we've got the Beethoven Concertos 1 and 2 with the Rondo in B flat, with the London Symphony under Piero Gamba, and numbers 3 and 5 with Piero Gamba, and number 4 with Piero Gamba. And the Piano Sonata number 32 in C minor, opus 111. He does very good late Beethoven. He really does. It's quite fine. And there's beautiful stuff in here, and the performances are never droopy, because he was kind of a fire-breathing virtuoso. I mean, he doesn't dawdle, and he doesn't slow down in like the harder parts. You know what I mean? He plays, and it's pretty cool. Then we've got the Diabelli Variations, which he did twice. The first time was in like 1955, I think. And we've got, let's see, the Polonaise in C major and Piano Sonata number 32, another opus 111. Yeah, there are two Diabellis. One is 61, and one was, I think, 53. Yeah, 53. Jed prefers the earlier one, and I see his point. The earlier one is a little bit more reflective. The later one is a sort of barnstorming virtuoso performance that runs the risk of appearing maybe a tad glib. I find it exciting. I just think it's fun. I don't think you have to turn the thing into a philosophical treatise, but it's, they're both very good. And then the Six Bagatelles, Opus 126. Piano sonatas, the Appassionata and the Schubert Wanderer Fantasy. Schubert is a lot of fun. The Appassionata is a little bit straight-laced, I think. Not sober. Not terribly interesting in my view, but the Wanderer is really fun. The Schumann Toccata Carnival is marvelous, and I don't even like Carnival, but I like this Carnival because it has a certain a sense of fantasy about it. You don't know what's coming next kind of feeling. That's just marvelous. The Etude in the Form of Variations, Opus 13, the Arabesca in C major, and then Chopin, the Ballade number 3, the Fantasy in F minor, Piano Sonatas 2 and 3. Again, straightforward Chopin. Serious, one would say. Serious Chopin, but very eloquent and very beautifully played. The Fantasy Impromptu in C sharp minor and the Polonaise number 6 in A flat major. We all love that one, don't we? Then we've got more Chopin, Scherzo number 3. And Mendelssohn. Oh, some beautiful Mendelssohn. The Prelude and Fugue in E minor, Opus 35, number 1. Oh, is that a knockout? Just a knockout. It's a glorious work. I mean, it's one of the most thrilling 7 minutes and 52 seconds of piano music you've ever heard in your life. And then On Wings of Song, arranged by Liszt, gorgeously floated over the bar lines. The Scherzo in E minor, Opus 16, number 2. The Rondo Capriccioso in E flat, Opus 14. The César Franck Prelude, Chorale, and Fugue. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love that work, and it's a beautiful performance. Then we've got Mussorgsky, Pictures in an Exhibition, and some Liszt stuff. The Mephisto Waltz number 1, Harmonies Poétiques et Religieuses Funérailles, and the Hungarian Rhapsody number 12 in C sharp minor, and Balakirov's Islami, which is something he just nails. His Islami is like one of the great piano things from like the 1950s and 60s. Hearing Katchen do Islami was like a big deal. It was marvelous. It's such a difficult work. Then we've got like a bunch of like concerto-like things here, like, yeah, well, I keep saying like, right? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, folks. I'm not stuck on that. Liszt, Piano Concertos 1 and 2, and the Hungarian Folk Melody Fantasy, and the Grieg Piano Concerto, with lots of different people, Ataulfo Argenta, Piero Gamba, and Istvan Kertész, with the Israel Phil. Now, these are from the 50s, and the sonics are kind of, diffuse in places. They're older performances and recordings, but boy, does he play. And the list is really hot. It is just hot. Then we got lots and lots of Brahms. The Brahms complete piano music. Some of it he did twice. And I'm just going to tell you it's all Brahms. And all of his Brahms is worth hearing. It's as good as anybody's. It's a magnificent achievement. It's the reference edition of the complete Brahms piano music. And I'm just turning pages because we're going to get way up here into the CDs like C20. And we've got, he did some piano duet stuff, the Hungarian Dances, Volume 1 for piano solo, Volume 2 for piano duet with Jean-Pierre Marty. Katchen was actually based in Paris before he passed away at age 42, I think I mentioned. It's very sad. Then we've got the violin sonatas and the clarinet sonatas. They are with Thea King. It's beautiful performances, and those were new to CD. Those were just released. And Ruggero Ricci with violin. And then he remade the violin sonatas with Joseph Suk, which are classic versions as well. I mean, the Suk Brahms stuff with Katchen is as good as it gets. It really is, because he also did the piano trios with Janos Starker. And that was one of the great trio confabs in the business. It really was. He also did the second cello sonata with Starker. And then you got the Brahms Piano Concerti. Number 1 is with Pierre Monteux and the LSO. And it's one of the great ones. And the Schumann Piano Concerto with Istvan Kertész. And Piano Concerto number 2 was with János Ferencik. That's right. The great Hungarian conductor with the London Symphony. And the Schumann Fantasy in C major. So that was really cool. Then the Tchaikovsky First Piano Concerto and another Islami. Can't have too many Islamis. And the Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto with Piero Gamba and Schulte. And that Rachmaninoff, too, as Jed points out, and he's right, as he usually is special. It's a wonderful rock, too. It always was. And we've got, let's see, another rock two. Let's see, with another rock two. Let's see what the other rock two is with. It's with, Fistulari. Yeah, Fistulari. And then the Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini and the Variations on a Nursery Tune. I love that record. It's with Adrian Bolt, actually. And that was one of those, again, the sonics were not great, but I had that as one of those budgie Decca cheapy Jubilees or whatever they were called back in the day. Very inexpensive. Stereo Treasury, I think they were. Way back when. And they were inexpensive and they were just marvelous. And I grew up with that recording. And I'm not saying it's great because I grew up with it. I'm saying it's great because it's great. It's just great. Then we've got Prokofiev Symphony No. 3 with Ernest Ansermet. And let's see, the Bartok Piano Concerto No. 3, which is wonderful. And Petrushka, yes, he plays the piano part in Petrushka with the Paris Conservatory Orchestra and Pierre Monteux. And he's the only good thing in that Petrushka because the rest of it's just lousy. Oh, the Paris Conservatoire was not on top form then at all. But wow, the Prokofiev third, the Bartok third is great, although we remade the Prokofiev. So just hang in there, folks. We're going to get there in a minute because those were 1954. And he redid those. And we have the Gershwin Piano Concerto and Rhapsody in Blue and Saint-Saëns Carnival of the Animals with Mantovani and his orchestra. Beatrice Lilly, narrator. Gary Graffman is the second piano in the Carnival of the Animals. How's that for a hot team, huh? Wow. Fabulous. It's the London Symphony Orchestra with Skitch Henderson from 1955. But then we get to hear some of these in stereo. I think we do somewhere down the line here, unless I'm hallucinating. Probably. I knew there was another one. Okay, let's keep going. Ravel, Piano Concerto for the Left Hand, Piano Concerto in G Major. Great performances. Wonderful performances with Kertész in the London Symphony. Some of Bartok's Mikrokosmos and his third piano concerto, again, with Kertész, and that's the one to get, frankly. And we have the Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue. Again, Ned Rorem's Piano Sonata No. 2. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Benjamin Britten's Diversions for Piano, Left Hand, and Orchestra. Also fantastic. And that marvelous Prokofiev third. That's the great one with Kertész. And the London Symphony, and the Britten is conducted by Britten. So you're not going to get better versions of that, but this Prokofiev third is as good as anybody's ever done. It really is. Then we've got another Carnival of the Animals, and then a whole slew of encores, which I'm not going to go into because life is too short. Also with Katchen and Graffman and Skitch Henderson, again, from 1960. And, and 35, 78 shellac rarities and unpublished recordings of things that, well, bits and pieces of stuff. We don't have to go into it. We really don't. But that's the complete Decca Katchen. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful series of recordings. The Brahms is irreplaceable. It really is. Some of the concerto recordings are astounding. Very little of it is below the very, very highest level of pianism. And most of the concerto recordings are well recorded and well accompanied. And, you can't go wrong. So if you were waiting to hear if I think you should get this, yes, you should get it. You should get it while you can, if you can, and keep your eyes out if you can't for individual titles of things that may interest you. Some of it, the Ansermet stuff is in the Ansermet box, or will be in an Ansermet box, not the monos, but an earlier Ansermet box. And the Kertész stuff was definitely in the Kertész box. So there isn't a Piero Gamba box that I've noticed, but really he was a great artist, a wonderful artist who died way too soon and sadly of cancer. And we're happy that we have so much, frankly. 30, 35 CDs. It's a good legacy. It's a good chunk of music fabulously played. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me and take care.